Hello dear designers, and welcome to another episode of our free online tutorial. So for the course of this tutorial, we're going to be learning how to create the hand of my miniature dress form. I'm going to be showing you the processes involved. So to create the hand of my miniature dress form, I used my sleeve pattern. Of course, the measurement I used here is the measurement of my miniature dress form. Although my miniature dress form does not have a hand per se, but I used an estimated figure, which I believe would work with the miniature dress form if to say it has a hand, but it doesn't. So I went ahead to add half inch allowance all round my sleeve pattern. I added half inch allowance, and it's going to be serving as my sewing allowance. So for the course of this tutorial, I used calico fabric. I decided to use calico fabric because my miniature dress form is white in color, and this calico fabric is white in color too. So it's going to blend in with the color of my miniature dress form, and the difference between the two won't be so obvious. So that's why I decided to use calico fabric. But you can decide to use any fabric of your choice. You must not use calico fabric. You can decide to use any fabric of your choice, whether flowered print or so, depending on what you want to achieve and how you want your miniature dress form, of course, to look like. If you would like to get a calico fabric, you can just walk into any fashion store where they sell sewing accessories or fabrics. I believe you will get it there. So I am just going to go to my sewing machine to sew. I'm going to sew to join the side seam of my sleeve pattern. I'm going to sew on the half inch allowance that I added on my sleeve pattern. So here I'm done sewing on my allowance. So I'll go ahead to flip it over. Okay, so what next I have to do is that I will measure the circumference that I have here, like the measurements I have here, and this is my wrist, that the down part of my sleeve. I'm going to measure the circumference of my wrist, which is the round of this very part. I'm going to measure it. Then whatever figure that I get from the measurement, I'm going to use it as the circumference of the circle that I'm going to use to calculate and get my radius. So I'll just show you how to follow that. So now, when I get the radius, I will use it to cut out the circle that I'm going to use to cover up this place. But this place needs to be covered so that I can better stuff in whatever that I want to stuff into this place. I can better stuff it in. Okay, now to measure, to get the circumference of this my wrist area, or the wrist area of my miniature dress form, because I'm actually doing this hand to my miniature dress form. So whatever measurements I'm working with is my miniature dress form's measurements. So for now, to get the circumference of this wrist area, I'm just going to start from the seam line, the side joining of the sleeve to measure round. So I know that the figure I'm going to get is going to be really small, because of course it is the measurements of my miniature dress form that I'm using. So what I got here is 6.2. And mathematically, the formula for finding the radius of a circle is circumference over 2 pi. So now when you break this particular formula down, we have our circumference to be 6.2. We have our circumference to be 6.2 already, divided by 2 times pi. So now in mathematics, we have our pi to be 22 over 7. So and I will come here to write 22 over 7 because it will be better if I work it out. Now when you work out 22 over 7, you have 3.14. So 2 times the pi, which is 3.14. So now when you still work this out, you get this. You have 6.2 over, when you work this out, which is 2 times 3.14, you have 6.3. Now when you work this out, you have 0.9 as the answer. 0.9. So 0.9 equals to radius. Now this is our radius is 0.9. So please don't get this wrong. This is the formula for finding the radius of a circle. So it should look like this. R equals to circumference over 2 pi. So now when you break it down, you will arrive at the final answer that will have a which is 0.9. So 0.9 what we'll have as our radius, and I'm going to use it to cut out what we're going to be using to cover the wrist area of this our sleeve. So to cut it out on my paper, I folded my paper into 4 places, so that I can cut out the circle once. I put my paper, so just very a little amount of paper because I don't need much actually. So I folded into 4 lines. So using my figure that I got from my calculation, which is 0.9, I'm going to measure it on my tape. 0.9, I have this to be 0.9. So I'm just going to mark it round like so, starting from here like this. 0.9 on my tape. So now, for any size of mannequin that you're going to be doing this with, please use the measurements. Here I'm using the measurement of my miniature dress form. So please, for any size of mannequin that you're using to create this particular sleeve, please use the measurement of your dress form. Don't use mine. So I measure the 0.9 round like so. Just watch carefully. I measure it round like so, I also place. So my scissors I'm going to cut it out. So this is just like from my folding, this is just like one fourth of a full circle. Then when I open it all up, it's going to turn to a full circle. Just like the way you do when you want to cut your circle flip or your skirt or your top. So now this is what I use. I already cut it out. This is what I need. So with the way it is now like this, the way it is when I open it up, this is the circle. This is like the round of my wrist actually. So I am just going to use it right now to cut it out in the fabric, because I'm going to use the fabric to cover that area, so that when I put in the thing that is going to stay inside the sleeve, it can be helpful.